Should Axis heroes take Guts or Rift Mastery? If you're trying to choose between them based purely on efficiency, you're already asking the wrong questions. This isn't about which one's better, it's about whether you want reliability or leverage. Thanks for clicking on this and welcome to the channel. This is my first Konflikt 47 video, and honestly, it's me stepping back into making more tabletop content in a more deliberate way. This type of video is about trying to understand the choices that we make during list building and how those choices actually play out on the tabletop. One of those choices is if you should purchase additional hero stats when playing Axis. Hand of a Green Vault gives each Axis army list a free point of Rift Mastery on one hero. Because of that, it's easier to either ignore the option to purchase one completely or just default into taking one of each. In practice, both do very different jobs. Guts is a tactical tool, while Rift Mastery is a strategic one. And once you understand that difference, the choice between them becomes much clearer, and this video should help you make that choice without it just coming down to available points. Let's start with Guts, because it's the easier one to understand, and honestly, it's a safer pick in most lists. Guts allows you to manipulate a dice roll that directly affects a hero. That can be their own roll to hit, an enemy roll to wound, really anything where the outcome meaningfully impacts that model. It can also be used as a last-ditch attempt to keep the hero alive, but that use case is extremely unreliable and it should never be your plan. It's an emergency button, not a strategy. Where Guts actually earns its points is during the hero's activation. During their activation, a hero can spend the points with Guts, return an order to a dice bag from a friendly unit that is already activated within 6 inches. This allows a unit to activate twice in the same turn, allowing things like a turn 1 assault, an aggressive positioning move then followed up with a fire order later in the turn, or taking a second round of shooting with one of your big guns. These are undeniably powerful plays that can swing a game, but there's an important limitation here. Guts an explosive ability, but it's not scalable. Most of the time, you're doing the cool thing once, maybe twice if the stars align. It creates great moments, but it doesn't create a plan. That's why Guts feels amazing when it works, and they're almost invisible when it doesn't. Guts doesn't ask you to build around it, it's asking you to recognise the most opportune moment to cash it in. Rift Mastery works in a completely different space. Thanks to Hand of a Green Vault, you start with a free point of Rift Mastery you can assign at the start of a battle. That matters because it creates the opportunity to double stack Rift Mastery by giving it to a hero who's already purchased one during an army list creation. Once you do that, something very important changes. You can combine the Rift dice into a guaranteed surge and pass that surging dice to a unit. This isn't about rolling better dice, it's about planning around a certainty. Being able to plan around a guaranteed surging dice unlocks a lot of very powerful interactions. Things like increasing the pen value on your Stealth Trooper or Totem Corps, Shrek Wolf and going up to damage value 8 on demand, enabling multiple ambushes from Nactilban, or stacking Fearless and Deadly 3 on Natjaga. These aren't just cute tricks, they're tempo decisions that you can build a list around. However, there are a couple of key timing interactions to be aware of when using Rift Mastery. While you may combine 2 of the hero's active dice together at any time, you may only pass the Rift dice during their activation, and that has to be done to a unit within 6 inches of them. Additionally, it's worth noting that each of those actions costs a point of Rift Mastery, and that's what prevents a unit with a single point of Rift Mastery from combining their inert Rift dice with the Rift Mastery dice and then passing that surging dice off, because you need 1 point of Rift Mastery to do each of those actions. Rift Mastery really shines if you're a type of player who likes to have a plan or to build around a list with an anchor unit. It allows you to know going into a turn exactly what pressure you can apply and where you can apply that pressure. Because of this, Rift Mastery is often the correct pick for your Hand of a Green Vault commander. Not because it's efficient, but because it gives your army direction. Outside of that role though, it's very hard to pass upon Guts. It's cheaper, it's flexible, it doesn't demand the support from the rest of your list. That's why when you're taking secondary platoon commanders, they usually benefit more from Guts than putting in more Rift Mastery. You're buying the pressure, not the infrastructure. As always, there's an exception to every rule, and a newly announced Totem Rot army is the clearest example I can give of this. Not really any list where you're going to run multiple units of Totem Core can benefit more from Rift Mastery. Even if the extra dice are only going to be active ones when you pass them out, the sheer volume allows you to repeatedly use the Dead Rise again, helps you maintain tempo from that list, and it helps you reduce the risk of losing access to run orders at the wrong time. At that point, Rift Mastery stops being about being a planning tool in list building, becomes a core feature of the army. Multiple points of Rift Mastery dotted around your force, or even a single double-stacked commander, can benefit from passing out individual dice to multiple units, rather than trying to stack all of your Rift dice into one undead basket. Ultimately, it's hard to argue against Guts as the best default hero stat in the game. However, in the Axis list, I think there's a strong case to be made for Rift Mastery being the best intentional one. If you know why you're taking Rift Mastery, it'll win you games. If you don't, stick with Guts and it'll treat you better. Thanks for watching. If you disagree with anything, or if you've got really good examples of how you've used Guts or Rift Mastery, post them in the comments below. And I'll see you on the next one.